This past week, we spent some time with the candidates for Waurika City Council. We asked each of them the exact same questions. At the end of each interview, we allowed them to say whatever was on their mind, things they wanted to share. We did ask Mike Gaines a couple of questions about recent events that have taken place at the meetings of the Waurika City Council. We just asked him about those for clarification. What you're about to view are each candidate's interviews in their entirety. Okay, let's start with the first question. Where were you born, Jerry?
R, Oklahoma, south of Ringland.
South of Ringland. And where were you raised?
Addington, my high school years, junior high.
And your work experience, tell us a little bit about what all you did.
Okay, I was in the Army 7 years, and then I got out and I went on the police department of Wichita Falls for about 4 years, then moved to Oklahoma City, and then from there I went with the Drug Enforcement Administration as a special agent.
Okay, next question. Why do you want to be on the city council?
Well, apparently we have some problems that hadn't been worked out. You know, when you come up and you hadn't paid your bills in 4 months, I can't imagine somebody not knowing that the insurance hadn't been paid for 4 months. And if it was just overlooked, the money would be there to pay it. But they're operating in a deficit zone. The money wasn't there. So they had to steal money from the water department to pay the health insurance. So that's my problem. And people relate it to me every day. You know, my water bill is terrible. You know, something needs to be done. And I agree. You know, I realize it takes money to operate, but it also takes efficiency.
Okay, so this just segues to the next question. Any changes you want to see on the city council?
Yeah, there's several changes I'd like to see. I think we need to get all of our eggs back in one basket. I understand, and this is just from talking to other people, that our treasurer is in Oklahoma City, and supposedly she knew that the insurance hadn't been paid, but she didn't tell anybody about it for 4 or 5 months. So that needs to be back in City Hall. So if I want to walk in there at 10 o'clock this morning, I can go and say, where are we? Do we have money to pay the bills? Are you hiding any bills from us? And, you know, I want to know every day what's happening. I don't want to wait once a month to know if we hadn't paid our bills last month.
This is an easy question. What are some of your hobbies?
Oh, I've got a 10-year-old grandson that I'm raising, and we're going to the coast next week to camp out on the beach, and we try to take a trip to Colorado every year. And I love to work. That's one of my biggest hobbies. I love to tear down old houses in town and clean up, and so, you know, that's things I enjoy doing.
Okay, is there anything you want voters to know that maybe they don't know about you already?
Well, I'll be open to them. If they ask me a question, they'll get the straight answer. They won't say, you know, well, we're looking into it, you know. If we hadn't paid our bills, I'll tell them we hadn't paid our bills. But I guarantee you, I'll know, you know, we probably have 10 or 15 bills that we pay every month. And if I can't look on that sheet and tell, is health paid this month? You know, the light bill, the gas bill, you know, you've got to stay up every day. You can't just assume because you hired somebody that they're going to take care of business. I've got 3 water bills here of my own, and our average age in town is probably somewhere 65 to 70.
Right.
And the old people can't afford a high water bill. And I've got one here where I use 10 gallons at a house. It was vacant. And my bill is $70 for a vacant house. And I've got another one where I use 20,000 gallons, $259. Now, an old person, if they have somebody to come see them and they use 20,000 gallons, they're not going to be able to pay their water bill. And then another one for 3,900 gallons, and the bill's $119. So, you know, we've got to make sure we operate as efficiency as possible.
First question, where were you born?
I was actually born in Wichita Falls, Texas, the old Wichita General Hospital.
And where were you raised?
Claypool, USA.
Okay, tell me a little bit about your work experience. What all have you done?
Went to high school originally at Claypool until they lost their school in 1957. Transferred to Waurika. They split the community. Half the kids went to Ringling, half went to Waurika. And I wound up, we had more ties at Waurika at that time. And of course, my aunt and uncle owned Brown Drug. And we were already attending the Methodist Church here anyway. So we attended Waurika, graduated from Waurika, joined the Air Force right out of high school. Spent 4 years in the Air Force. When I got out of there, I started college at Central State in Edmond, transferred to IUPU in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Was going to college there, and my dad had a severe heart attack, moved back to help him, and after doing that for a while, just eventually when he didn't need me anymore, moved to Wichita Falls and got a job, and from there worked mainly in finance. Started out for finance companies, went to work for the Shepherd Federal Credit Union, worked there as the vice president for Burke Burnett Savings and Loan, and so on, and worked insurance for a while. Long story short, wound up buying a business that does insurance estimates on vehicles, cars, boats, and so on, and had that business for about 10 years, and then wound up moving to Branson, Missouri, because my daughter had an opportunity to sing up there. So we sold the business, went to work for an insurance company in Springfield, and worked for them for 26 years as a claims manager until I retired, and then moved back to Waurika.
Okay, obviously you're already on the city council. Why do you want to remain on the city council? What do you want to say?
I was appointed to a vacant seat in fall of 2014. I've always loved Waurika. I went to school here. Waurika always had a unique blend of individuals that were just kind and concerned. I remember what this town once was. I don't know that it will ever be that again economically, but I love it enough that I would like to see growth both downtown and clean up areas that need to be cleaned up and get it back to what as close as it can to what it used to be. Like I say, I was appointed in 2014, had an election last year. It was to finish out a current term, didn't draw an opponent, and I would just like to continue the progress that we have made in the last year and a half of getting us out of the red and into the black, and we're nearly there.
What changes would you like to make, if any, to the city council or to the way the city's going now? Is there any changes you'd like to make?
The change I would like to see is more young people getting involved and becoming interested in running for the council and taking a part in the leadership in our community. And I mean, of course, I'm retired age. A lot of people on the council are that age. And it's good to see people like Jacob Eck has filed this year, people that have a good sense of value and common sense, and they're raising their families here. And like I say, just anything that would do what's best for this town and this community.
Okay. What are some of your hobbies? I think I know a few of them, but what are some of your hobbies?
They've been various things. I probably the main thing would be hunting and fishing. Boating. When I was in Missouri, canoeing was a big thing because of the number of the rivers and so on. But probably hunting and fishing at this point is that and grandkids.
Absolutely. All right, is there anything you want the voters to know about you that they may not already know?
The main thing is that my main concern is I'm not interested in politics. I'm not really interested in the politics of the council. To me, it's simple. If you want to be on the council, then the primary focus should be to act in whichever, doesn't matter what the situation is, in a way that you're doing stuff that betters the city and helps this community to go forward. The question on the water bill.
Yeah.
That fund was started, I believe, in 2013 at the request of Mayor Jim Bernard.
Right.
It was his idea to put back money to take a portion of the water bill after all the expenses were paid, the money that was the profit going to the city, put it in a fund to have as a rainy day fund. It's as simple as that. They named it the Water Tower Maintenance Fund simply because they needed a name to put on it, to tag those funds. There seems to be those that have stated that that money was put aside for nothing but water tower maintenance. That's totally wrong. It's to be used for whatever the city needs. At one point, when I first got on the council, Waurika was, I want to say, $200,000 to $250,000 in debt. We've got that down to near zero. The only thing that I think we still have that we were behind on may be a portion of the back payments for trash pickup. And I want to say that's down now to $5,000 or $6,000. Otherwise, the bills are current, with the exception of when this came up, there was an oversight and the city employees' insurance was not being paid, had not been paid. And it was a question of whether or not it was going to lapse. It amounted to around $40,000, $45,000. I don't remember the exact amount. At that time, it was decided to take money out of that fund, which was just sitting there, rather than paying interest on money and just pay ourselves back, made a lot more physical sense than adding more debt. And we're in a situation where that will be paid back in approximately 6 months at no interest charge.
When it comes to city treasurer, we had a former city treasurer that's no longer here. And could you go through the reasons why they didn't hire another city treasurer?
Probably one of the reasons, kind of give you a little bit of background. When I came on the commission in the fall of 2014, we were already having issues. The first meeting I came to, we had no treasurer report. It was brought up, at that time, like I said before, we were $200,000, $250,000 in debt. We couldn't determine what to pay or in what order things need to be paid because we never could get a correct answer on how many funds we actually had. When you would ask the treasurer, it would be, gosh, I don't know, maybe I can go look. I didn't get a chance to get that report together. This went on for months. There were several meetings to discuss firing him, replacing him. When it finally got down to it, kind of backing up a little bit, one of the other issues is Waurika City's audits were so far behind. We were losing state tax money, maybe some federal money, but there were things out there that were available for cities of our size that without current audits you could not get, you couldn't apply for. We at that time, the city manager, Richard Hart, had a contact with a firm, Meacham and Associates. I think they're out of Oklahoma City. Meredith Meacham is our contact. She's the one that's been doing most of our work. And she was able to help us prepare budgets, get our audits, and think as of now we're caught up through 2013. She's currently working on 14 and 15. We'll probably have those done later this year, which hasn't been that way in years, I've been told. As far when it finally, we were able to terminate the treasurer we had at that time, and it took much longer than it should have because there were members on the council that for some reason wanted to keep giving him another chance. But long story short, he was terminated. Meredith Meacham, let me make one thing clear. First of all, she is not our treasurer. It was determined at that time, due to the restraints of our income, the amount of debt we had, if we could do without that $30,000, $35,000 salary And it had been proven that the current city employees, Katrina, Michelle, and Renee, could do the duties and not act as a treasurer, but basically pay the bills that were due. They rely on Meredith to put those in order, bring forth what needs to be done, the importance, and maybe triage them, so to speak, so that they're done in a correct order. And with that working the way it is, we've not only saved the salary of a treasurer, but we have gotten to the point, as I'd said before, that we're below $10,000 in past due bills. We just recently, if people, I don't know that this is out there, but at the last meeting, we voted to accept a contract with the trash firm that we had been using at a substantial reduction down to $13,000 versus between 16 and 17 before. So that alone is another way we're cutting expenses in an effort to try to get Waurika back in the black and moving forward.
Let me ask you a question. As a city council member, can you walk in at any time and talk to whoever's acting as treasurer, or whoever's keeping the books, and get an account of everything that's going on? Is there any?
No, and that is way out of our scope. The Oklahoma Municipal League and anybody that serves on the city council has to take a class that they sponsor, that tells you about the legalities, what you can and cannot do in a commissioner-style government that Waurika's chartered to run, which is with a city manager and your commissioners. The commissioners can hire and fire the city manager. The city manager is responsible for all the day-to-day activities of the city, including the employees' conduct, their jobs, so on and so forth. It is against the law for me as a commissioner to walk in and direct any employee to do anything, be it someone that's working outside in any job site and question what they're doing or give them directions to do something different. My only action can be taken during the commission meetings on items that are on the agenda for that evening, and any questions we might have must be addressed to the employees through the city manager. And I know I've heard rumors that people say, well, we don't need a city manager. The way our government's chartered, the way our city is chartered, you can't operate without one. There has to be a city manager to take care of the day-to-day activities, and any councilman, commissioner who tries to circumvent that and advise employees or tell employees they must do this or they must be that is actually breaking the law.
So as a city council person, your job is to actually act at city council meetings?
Correct.
On agenda items that are on the posted agenda, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Where were you born and when?
Where was I born? Ardmore, Oklahoma, 1982.
1982. And where were you raised?
Waurika.
Tell me a little bit about your work experience. What have you done in your young life?
Well, I got my start at a software and development company called Phase 2 Interactive up in Oklahoma City. I was there for 7 to 8 years, and then I moved back home, and now I'm owner-operator of Brick Street South, a website and graphic design company.
Why do you want to be on the city council? What was your motivation for being a council member?
Well, I think I finally gave in to peer pressure of enough people asking me to do it, but honestly, I love the town, and I want to do whatever I can to serve the town. This seemed like an opportunity to do so, and I think there's a good group of people there that we can work towards solving some of the problems that we've got to work through.
Well, that brings us to the next question. What kind of changes would you like to see made?
You know, I don't necessarily have changes that I want to implement, but I mean, I'm one person out of 5 on a council, and so my main concern is that we work together, that we realize that, you know, Washington is divided. You know, Waurika doesn't have to be divided. We can work together for the good of our community and solve some of those complex issues that exist. But, you know, ultimately, I think just leading by example of trying to work together and trying to look out for our community as a whole so that we can grow and move forward.
This is a real easy question. What are some of your hobbies?
I got a lot of them. I do a lot with my graphic design stuff. I like to play sports. I like to play video games. I like to play with my kids and whatever they're doing, board games. Whatever I can do to fill my time, I enjoy doing it.
All right, last but not least, is there anything about you want the voters to know, something that they may not already know?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. That I'm a pretty open book when it comes to me. You know, I think people see that I do care about the town because I do put a lot of my time into volunteer efforts and civic organizations, because it's a passion that I have to serve and to work with people and to try to be a positive influence to those around me and to our town.